As F1 gears up for a return to racing with the United States Grand Prix, all focus has shifted to the title race as Lando Norris attempts the impossible task of overtaking Max Verstappen at the top of the Drivers' Championship. It is going to require perfection from the McLaren driver and mistakes from Red Bull for Norris to close the 52-point gap, but Helmut Marko reckons that is absolutely impossible. Not because of how good Verstappen is, but because of Lando's weaknesses. The Red Bull advisor has taken the chance to apply some pressure to his driver's rival. But is Marko just blowing hot air, or is there something behind what he says this time? Let's check it out. You know that there's a Formula 1 race at the weekend when Helmut Marko starts saying offensive things about other drivers. Red Bull's motorsport advisor has a reputation for saying exactly what he thinks, even when he probably shouldn't. As a senior member of the Red Bull team, you would think that someone would have held him accountable for his actions by now. But the Austrian ex-F1 driver cannot be leashed. Heading to Austin, McLaren are the strong favourites for a race win, with Lando Norris likely to be favoured by the team to help his Drivers' Championship challenge, though there's no guarantees when it comes to McLaren's team orders. Norris won the last time out in Singapore by 20 seconds. Though with Verstappen finishing second, he couldn't make as big an indent into the Dutchman's lead as he would have liked. With 6 races left in the season, Norris needs to earn just under 9 points a race more than Verstappen to take the driver's title in Abu Dhabi. Of course, this title challenge wouldn't even be happening if it weren't for a Red Bull mistake. A misstep with Red Bull's Hungarian Grand Prix updates put the team on the back foot and forced them to run a patchwork floor experiment before finally taking a step forward with the revised Baku floor. It was by no means a eureka moment, just a step towards recovery, with the team's winless streak up to 8 races stretching back to June's Austrian Grand Prix. In the time since his last victory, Verstappen has managed just 3 podiums, while Sergio Perez's run outside of the top 3 extends back to Miami. That poor run of form has allowed McLaren to take a lead in the Constructors' Championship, one which they look favourites to hold on to and secure a first championship trophy since 2008. That was of course Hamilton's first Drivers' Championship, but the last Constructors' Championship win came 10 years earlier, courtesy of David Coulthard and Mika Hakkinen. Despite Red Bull's worst run results since 2019, Marko still has confidence in his team. We need to improve significantly to turn things around, and I am optimistic that we will be stronger again in Austin. As soon as Max starts winning races again, Sergio Perez usually steps up, and then the whole situation looks completely different. But to do that, we need a wider working window for the car, which can't just function in a very narrow area. And we need the necessary speed. So those are 2 factors, and I trust our technicians to achieve that. Of course, those same technicians that Marko is putting his faith in caused Red Bull's current slump with a bad floor upgrade back in Hungary. The big question is, have they learned from their mistakes? Red Bull are set to introduce an upgrade package at Austin, the team's final throw of the dice in the development battle this season. The revised package, which includes a new floor, is expected to address the RB20's mechanical and aerodynamic performances. There have been a number of bad floor upgrades by a huge variety of teams over the past few seasons, which have caused more problems than they've solved, so there's no guarantee that this one from Red Bull will work. Even if the upgrades aren't perfect, Helmut Marko's still expecting Verstappen to win the title. But before I talk about that, if you enjoy our content and want to catch more daily F1 news and opinion pieces, give this video a like and subscribe. Thanks a lot. So why is Marko so sure that Lando Norris can't battle his way to a championship victory this season? Well, it's because of his weaknesses. Asked who he thought would be world champion this season, Marko simply said Verstappen. He added when asked to explain, "He's the best, he's the fastest, and above all, he has the mental strength to theoretically fight for the world championship, more than Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris. We know Norris has some mental weaknesses. I've read about some of the rituals he needs to do to perform well on race day," said Marko. What I assume Marko is referring to is Lando Norris's race day nerves. He admitted in an interview recently to being unable to eat or drink on race days, which is quite clearly a problem. There are so many examples of professional athletes who follow rituals before competing. Pick any sprinter in a 100-meter final, and you'll be able to pick out something a little odd that they do, whether it's slapping their legs, kissing a cross, kissing the track, or any other number of things. Football players like to touch the grass with their hands as they come out onto the pitch. Cricket players hit their pads with their bat on their way out to the crease. These are all little rituals that they do. For the most part, they are completely harmless, but there isn't a performance specialist in the world that would recommend you don't eat or drink on the day of a competition. It is less of a ritual for Norris though. It's that feeling of butterflies from anticipation, the adrenaline that your body starts producing, which stops him wanting to consume anything before a race. And that just can't be good for him. Our bodies need water and fuel to work. Driving an F1 car on the edge for the best part of 2 hours is a physical and mental battle, and drivers need to be as prepared as they can be for that. The counter-argument to all of this, though, is that it doesn't obviously appear to be impacting Norris. The Singapore Grand Prix is F1's most challenging race due to the heat. Drivers lose kilograms of weight through sweat. You just have to look at them in the post-race interviews to see how physically drained they are. Yet, Norris won that race by 20 seconds. His team did have to tell him to stop pushing so hard at the end of the race as he nearly crashed a few times, but he won by a huge margin nonetheless. The race this weekend at COTA will be a far less punishing experience for the drivers, and it is also earlier in the day than the Singapore Grand Prix, so Lando's issues should have less of an impact. While Lando does have his problems, Red Bull have far bigger ones. Since the death of Red Bull founder Dietrich Mateschitz, the Red Bull team has appeared to be destabilized. A number of high-ranking team members have left the team, and an internal power struggle between the team principal Christian Horner and a collection of individuals including Helmut Marko and Max Verstappen have dominated the headlines. Following Mateschitz's death, Oliver Mintzlaff assumed his duties as managing director at Red Bull, which of course includes its prized F1 asset. However, CEO and team principal Christian Horner is believed to be largely in control of all Red Bull F1 matters, and is believed to be backed by the company's Thai shareholders. Still, the effects of Mateschitz's passing in 2022 are still being felt today, as Marko explained how the Red Bull organization is adapting to his late friend's absence. The death of Dietrich Mateschitz has of course brought changes, Marko said. He was an autocrat, decisions were made quickly. He was a charismatic entrepreneur with a certain vision and someone who was willing to take risks. Now everything within the organization is being rearranged, where it's not possible to find such a personality as Mateschitz. As a result, he also cannot be replaced by just one person. In terms of structure, Oliver Mintzlaff is responsible for Formula 1, amongst other things. He also does soccer, cycling, and various other things. Operationally, Christian Horner is responsible. I would say that the final details have not been finalized yet either, because the system is growing. The effects of everything at Red Bull changing can be seen in the list of people leaving the team. Designer Adrian Newey is obviously a huge one, but sporting director Jonathan Wheatley is no smaller a loss. He's off to Audi to be their new team principal. Red Bull's head of strategy, Will Courtney, is set to leave for McLaren when his contract expires at the end of the year as well. Those people leaving have created weaknesses at Red Bull, which Max Verstappen's brilliance cannot make up for. Part of the reason these people are leaving could be the internal struggles at Red Bull, but the budget cap is also partly to blame. Red Bull have run the budget cap close since it came in, as they should. Obviously, they actually breached it in 2021, which they shouldn't have. Employees at a successful team want to be rewarded for their success, with either promotions or pay rises, but the more you pay your staff, the less you can spend on your car. Lando Norris might have his weaknesses, but Red Bull have their own problems as well. We'll see who can overcome them best in Austin. Do you think Marko is right to question Norris's title credentials due to his race day habits? Or do you think that Red Bull's own issues are going to hold them back? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you want to support the channel, then check out f1reverse.com to get yourself some sweet F1 themed merch. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.